Every guest on ZASLOW Show 2.0 brought to us by the official beer of the program. You know I'm talking about Johnny Cuba. Come on, you know how we're going to do it in the ZASLOW Mansion this weekend. We got college football all day tomorrow. We're going to have a six-pack of Johnny Cuba. You can pick up your own six-pack, your local Sedanos, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. You got to remember, always drink responsibly. And, of course, don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. Our pal joining us here, everybody knows he is our favorite, Evan Cohen, formerly SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio Morning Men, which everybody knows was my favorite show. And now, starting on Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, when ESPN debuts their new fall ESPN Radio lineup for football season, Evan Cohen, the host, mornings 6 to 10 a.m., doesn't have a name just yet, mornings 6 to 10 a.m. every day, ESPN Radio alongside Chris Canty and Michelle Smallman. Evan, when are you going to get used to people saying morning host for ESPN Radio, Evan Cohen?
It's very weird, Zaz, because I did a bunch of the interviews on all the great affiliates that you've been on and now I'm going to be on. You've done more ESPN Radio than I have, and I'm on in the mornings. It's really amazing. You've done a ton recently, and you've been great. And by the way, shout out to Mike Ryan from the Levitard show, who ZASLOW referred to as a former quarterback for the Falcons and Colts yesterday. That is true. You literally called Matt Ryan Mike Ryan.
Well, I'm glad that you were listening, and I'm also glad that somebody picked up on it because, yes, it came out of my mouth. I realized it right away, and I was then wondering mid-sentence, wow, I wonder if anybody noticed that.
Now I just want the fake Zaz done by Mike Ryan as Zaz talking about Mike Ryan.
Yeah. Well, then we're entering Inception territory. Then it's layers upon layers upon layers.
I like it. But, yeah, it's crazy. So I was doing a bunch of the affiliate hits yesterday, and they kept introducing me as Evan Cohen, ESPN Radio. And I'm like, who are they talking about? It's very odd because I have this real estate now that the three of us get to occupy that is so valuable that Mike and Golick and Wingo and KJZ and then KJM and all these big shows have had over the course of the last 25 years at ESPN Radio. And now Chris, Michelle, and I are a part of it. It's just an amazing experience. And, you know, it was not easy to leave Babs and the team at Morning Men, which I still think can be your favorite show. I would never suggest somebody not listen to that. But you could also watch us, ESPN2, ESPNU, SiriusXM Channel 80, ESPN West Palm in South Florida, 106.3, back on there. As you know, I was on for 20 years on ESPN West Palm, which is really kind of crazy.
Yeah.
Full circle moment. Now being back on a station that I was one of 6 people to help start. It's just an unbelievable opportunity for an unbelievable network. And I'll let your audience know. I mean, you and I have talked a bunch off the air. Like, it's fun working on ESPN Radio. Like, there's a perception of like, oh, it's all stuffy. And no, it's not. Like, Zaz, I've heard you on there, and like you are ZASLOW on there. You're not trying to be someone else. And I think that we can bring that ESPN brand with what you know and what I know from Morning Man in terms of having fun with it. I think we can have a great time, and I'm beyond excited for it.
Now, how well do you know your new co-host now? Did you have any kind of prior relationship with them?
Michelle, I did a little bit. Not a ton, not like a relationship, but we knew each other. Chris, I didn't, to be honest. I really did not know Chris at all. I knew of him. I heard him with Carlin, who obviously, Carlin has been amazing. Chris Carlin has been unbelievable to me in my career, starting when I was an intern at WFAN for him. And then he helped get me a one-off part-time kind of gig at SNY in New York. So I've listened to Carlin, obviously with Canty, and I don't have the personal connection with Chris that I did with Michelle, or I do with Michelle, right? I mean, if you look up and down that lineup, the people that I knew prior, like really well, Carlin and obviously Amber, and everybody else I'm starting to get to know, including Canty. Michelle and I got connected through Sedano, initially George Sedano, and Jen Latta in Milwaukee, and Danny Canal, and because they all knew Michelle. Michelle produced Danny's show with Ryan Russillo. And so I was always connected to her. Hey, keep her on the radar. She could be somebody that's great. And she was kicking ass doing mornings in St. Louis and then doing stuff on ESPN Radio. And she actually filled in on Morning Men. Not with me, but for me a couple of times, which is ironic. So I'm excited about this crew. And the thing that I love is that everybody's looking at this, rightfully so, it's the biggest opportunity you possibly could get. Like I was on nationally for 12 years and in West Palm for 20, and like that was unbelievable. This is something at a different level
Yes.
and a different level of attention as you've experienced now. Michelle was on, 15, 20 years, St. Louis and ESPN. Chris was on 98.7 in New York, a dominant station in the city and around New York, I should say. And then obviously doing afternoons with Carlin. And this is kind of the pinnacle. We're all very fortunate to be with each other in this slot.
How about being on TV every day? I mean, you're now going to be on TV, like, and not even okay. It's streaming somewhere. You're going to be on television now every day, 6 to 10 a.m.
Yeah, I haven't eaten much recently. It's weird. I'm very like. There's a reason that I chose radio. Like I'm not comfortable in my own skin. I'm not comfortable with the way I look. I'm very self-conscious with that. That is going to be weird. That is going to be something that I'm going to have to get used to. I did TV for 2 years in West Palm on WPTV, News Channel 5, which is a massive station. And I was lucky enough to be the sports anchor for 2 years there. And it's different. It's totally different. I mean, Levitard, I'm going to get this somewhat correct, but Levitard always said, like, writing is your passion. Radio is for fun. TV is for reach, for the audience, right? And I may be getting it wrong, so I apologize. But I'm obviously a huge fan of Dan's, and I think his brilliance speaks for itself. But I think that's the difference here. And almost in a weird way, it's almost, I remember when I did it in West Palm, I did TV and radio at the same time. And it was almost borderline frustrating when people would come up to you and be like, oh, I saw you on TV last night. And I'm like, cool. Did you hear me on the radio for the last 15 years?
Because that's what I really care about.
Yeah. Right. But this is different. We're doing the radio show and they're filming the radio show.
Yeah.
When I did like sports anchor, I was doing a different job. So I think it's big. I'm not going to sit here and lie, as you know it. It's huge to have our show and as many different platforms as possible is big. But I'm a radio guy. So the fact that our radio show is going to be on TV, that part of it's cool.
It's very big. Again, 6 to 10 a.m. starting on Tuesday the 5th, 6 to 10 a.m. Evan Cohen, Chris Canty, Michelle Smallman. The thing that I like the best is, and especially with you driving the show, but Canty's been doing it for a really long time. And clearly, it sounds like Michelle's been doing it for a really long time, and especially coming from the other side as well, where she had been a producer. It feels like it's been a little while since ESPN Radio has had like a real radio show doing mornings every day, 6 to 10 a.m. Like, For whichever other iterations their morning radio show has been over the last few years, it kind of just feels like they put people together and here, do a radio show instead of, all right, we have radio people now who are going to do a radio show.
Well, I mean, I can't speak for what's happened obviously in the past because I wasn't there and neither were you, but I think that you see with Justin Craig, who's our boss at ESPN Radio, if you look at what he has done, it's like, okay, so who's done successful radio markets across the country or nationally, right? And let's have them continue to do that and promote them up to a bigger stage, right? Happened to me, happened to you, happened to Amber. Like you and Amber doing middays and mornings and all the different slots that you guys have done were successful in Miami and then got a chance to be successful at the network. I did mornings on Mad Dog for 12 years, did afternoons in West Palm for 20. Okay, he's done radio. Let's have him do more radio. Michelle, same thing, right? Hugh Myers, a guy at night. I don't know if you've worked with Hugh yet. He's awesome.
I know who he is, but like I don't know him. I don't know. Right. I don't know his stuff.
He's us. He's been successful doing a million jobs and hosting in Vegas, right? I mean, Greeny. Like people forget, like Greeny's a radio guy. Greeny loves radio. Carlin, producer
for Mike, a radio Chris, guy,
right? On Imus, radio guy, Afternoon Drive FAN, Afternoon Drive WIP in Philly, play-by-play for Rutgers, radio guy. Joe Fortenbaugh, who Amber just worked with for however long, radio guy, Pennsylvania to San Francisco to Vegas. Freddie Coleman is unbelievable,
radio
right?
Guy.
I mean, radio forever. I didn't know this. Do you know Harry Douglas, who's on with Freddie Coleman in the afternoons, was an intern at a station in Atlanta? And he played in the NFL
after his career?
No, during the offseason would go into 92.9 the game.
Oh, really?
Just would hang out.
Okay.
Ian Fitzsimmons, who's Amber's co-host now, radio guy forever.
Yeah.
Jay Reynolds, who does the overnight Sports Center all night. Like, there's everybody across the board, radio people.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's like, it sounds ridiculous to people listening to this right now, but think about, would you hire a doctor to be your lawyer? Or would you hire a lawyer to be your doctor? It's our world. Zaslow and I, like, we look at radio and TV are two different professions. It may not be to the masses, but for us, it very much is. Radio is way harder than TV.
Yeah, I think that's maybe what stood out to me was, like, I don't feel like it didn't feel like it was a radio show. It felt like it was TV people doing radio. And now I really feel like you're mentioning there with ESPN Radio, it feels like they got some real radio people now who are doing shows. I think it's really for the better. How everybody knows Morning Men, SiriusXM Mad Dog Radio has been my favorite show for years now. Obviously, it was super difficult for you to leave, but was it a no-brainer with it's ESPN, so it could be difficult, but it could also be an easy decision, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, so there's obviously layers to that. I think that it's still, having done it now 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, it's still impossible leaving Mike Babchick, who's my co-host for 12 years there. Like, I still am not over that. I'll probably never be over that.
I was holding back tears listening to you guys. Well, not you guys. He was sitting there listening. You were the one talking. I was holding back tears listening to it, Evan.
Yeah, I mean, I've been ripped. I guess I've heard a lot for this, which is fine. But like, he's my closest friend, like, for the last 12 years. So it's hard. I'm like emotional even like thinking about it now. The cool thing is, it's not about whether it's a no-brainer or not. It was so anti-typical radio. SiriusXM communicated with me months before their plans for the future. Okay. I then communicated with them some of my hopes and goals for the future. They completely aligned at the same exact time that my contract was up, that they were looking to do what they were looking to do, and ESPN was calling me. Like, and by the way, once everything internally amongst myself and the management and management with me was communicated, I was still on the air for another 2 or 3 weeks. That's unheard of in our business.
Usually the boss, for people who don't understand, usually the boss walks in after a show one day and says, hey, let's go have a talk. And that was your last day.
Right. Either way, either like, hey, Zaz, we've heard you're starting ZASLOW Show 2.0. You already have great advertising partners lined up. We can't have you working here because that's just promoting your show, even if it's that way, right?
Yeah.
So, but also, I'm still going to be on Sirius. I'm still going to be on Channel 80 every day. It's not like I'm not going to be on Sirius. I'm still going to promote Sirius. So the idea of Sirius and I not being lockstep on this was beneficial to no one. So, like, I this is going to sound crazy. The last 2 weeks of my career working directly for SiriusXM at Mad Dog, I felt more respected and valued by them than I ever had. Because, and not that I didn't feel respected and valued prior, but nobody allowed somebody to be on the air for the last 2 weeks, as you just said, and they gave me the opportunity. It's like the player that says, I'm telling you, I will leave in free agency, and somehow if they get hurt in the last 2 weeks, you're on the hook for their contract, like one of those kind of deals. They just shut the guy down. They didn't shut me down. I'm like, wow, they trust me. They trust that I'm not going to rip the station apart. I'm not going to do anything. I'm not going to promote anything else. So it was hard leaving Babs, but it was communicated the whole way.
Was it
I wore a shirt for a reason today. Are we going to
look at that? Look at that! The Dwayne Wade legacy shirt, which is a nighty shirt for me. I have it. I wear it probably once a week to go to sleep in. I'm not wearing it today. I'm actually wearing a Stugatz t-shirt here from the Dan Le Batard show.
I'm sorry. Charge you for that.
It's I'm sorry. I have a lacrosse mitzvah is what I'm wearing.
He was my lacrosse coach growing up.
So yeah, look at that.
You know that, right?
Oh, I believe you. I mean, and he was also camp counselor of my college roommate growing up.
He was my camp counselor at Camp Winaki in New Hampshire when I was 12 years old.
Yeah, he was the camp counselor at that same camp, and my college roommate as well.
College roommate? I know this. Yeah. The Wander.
Yes, Josh Wander. That's right.
Yeah.
That's a story for another day that nobody listening cares about. Yeah.
College team last night. What a joke. Oh my God.
The Gators?
Yes.
Horrendous. Yeah. Really bad last night. Really bad. All right, let me throw you a few sports questions now that you're wearing the Dwayne Wade shirt there. Do you have any different feelings about the Lillard situation? Like, is this eventually going to happen? Are you angry at the Blazers? Because it really feels it. I don't know. It feels like they're doing bad faith business. The Blazers, you know.
Where I am with the Dame Lillard situation, I'm frustrated with the analysis of the current roster as is minus Dame. Why do we think this team is going to be bad this year?
The Blazers you're talking about?
No, the Heat.
Oh, the Heat. Okay.
Let's pretend they never make the trade. Okay?
Yeah.
So I know he's not your favorite, but Kyle Lowry is still there. Tyler Hero, I don't care if he hates the Heat. The Heat, I don't believe, hate him. And I believe Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra are skilled enough that if they go to camp together, they will figure out the communication.
Totally. That's not going to be an issue.
He's in his 20s. Riley's in his 70s. Riley's been through this 1,000 times over. A motivated, angry, healthy Tyler Hero is still helpful. Bam is in his prime. They get Kevin Love back, and Kevin Love in a spot role is good for them. I think Jaquez is plug and play immediately. I literally think he can play immediately in the NBA. If I'm not assuming Jovic is international Jovic like we've seen, but he can play this year. Thomas Bryant is playable. Josh Richardson and Caleb Martin in combination, you don't think they can figure out Gabe Vincent / Max Strus? And I'm not knocking Gabe Vincent and Max Strus. I'm just saying the Heat have figured out that loss 1,000 times in their history. I actually think this team is better in the regular season this year than they were last year and worse in the postseason. And yet everyone thinks, oh, they're going to be a 10th seed, 11th seed. No, I think they'll be a top 5 seed as is. What I don't think is that they're a finals team again with this group. But I think they're better in the regular season. So I just think that people have to back off of the current team because I think they're actually better. I actually think they're better than they were going into last season. And in terms of the trade, I still am holding out hope it's going to happen, obviously. I also think, like, if it doesn't happen, is there someone else they have in their back pocket that they're thinking, okay, well, this officially is not going to happen. Let's knock on the door of someone's. I mean, I hope it's not Harden. I know you hope it's not Harden. I can't imagine they'd be interested in Harden. But I still think there's something really special coming up with this team this year.
Yeah, I think if the Lillard thing doesn't happen, I think they pivot to Giannis. But the Giannis thing is not something that would happen this year. It would happen in a year from now. I think that's going to wind up being the pivot, which I think is a super long shot.
I still don't buy he's going to leave.
You what?
I still don't buy that Giannis is going to leave.
Oh, I don't think he's going to leave either. No, yeah, I absolutely do not.
Direct pressure he's putting on the organization. Yeah. And you know that, like, I know a little bit about that team. I have a couple of connections to that team. I have no reason to think that team is not going to support him in every way possible. They love him.
Yeah.
And what's not to love? Honestly. I mean, outside of the ridiculous failure comments, what's not to love?
Yeah. Yeah. How about yesterday, Evan Cohen, a known Tom Brady fan? How about Joe Montana settling the decades-long debate of who is the greatest quarterback, Marino or Montana? And Joe Montana comes out yesterday and tells everybody, it's not me, it's not even Brady, it's Marino. It's over. The discussion's over. We did it.
Check it, Babakasha, will you please? I mean, give me a break. You can't sit there in the Zaslow mansion and sit back and tell me that you think Dan Marino is a better quarterback than Tom Brady. Better arm? Fine. Better release? Quicker release? Fine. Zaz, please, wake up, will you? I mean, that is ridiculous. Come on. Stop it. Stop it.
What a day yesterday. We finally got through it.
For you, how do I handle this?
Mm-hmm.
So I went to Jets-Bucks preseason a couple of weeks ago.
Ooh, terrible.
Well, hold on. Called my guys at ESPN New York. I said, hey, you got any tickets? My son and I would love to go to the game. They said, yeah, we got field. I said, oh, awesome. Field level. That's great. They said, no. On the field.
Yeah, field
I
passes.
said, I'm sorry. Field passes. I'm just thinking field level. Like, oh,
yeah.
I didn't want anything to get in. We go on the field before the game, standing there on the side. Aaron Rodgers in warm-ups, not playing. Throws the football to my son.
Hits him in the face.
My son drops the first pass. Throws it back to him. My son's not. Throws it back to him. Nice throw. Rodgers,
okay, hold on. Before you continue the story, Was there a part of you that sunk when he dropped the first pass?
No, because I saw what was happening here. So like it's hard for me to then play that back. So he drops the first one, throws it back. Rodgers throws it back to him. He catches it. He throws it back.
Now you're having catch. At that point, they're having a catch.
I've never been a Rodgers guy. Not a fan. Not a fan at all. Can't stand the Jets. Now my son's on the field having a catch with Rodgers.
Yeah.
I mean, if his favorite player becomes Rodgers, how do I kill him on it? I mean, it's almost like his favorite player should be Aaron Rodgers.
It's like if my son before a game, he's shagging balls and having a great time with Kyle Lowry. What do I do?
That's a problem. Here's what I would love to know. If the Heat called you today and said, hey, we need you to come back. We know you have a million other things going on. We need you to come back. You're part of the broadcast crew. We know you retired from that.
Yeah.
But you're going to do, or they retired you, one or the other. You know that JMP got fired mid-playoff round against the Hawks for the Heat?
I mean, was he actually fired? Was he actually? Oh, right. Okay, by the radio station. Yeah.
Yeah, by the radio station. Jeremy Lawrence in West Palm was then the Heat pre and post before you.
Yeah.
And they fired him. The radio station fired him for no reason, just layoffs mid-series. So, like, he did game 2, but didn't do game 3. But anyway, so the Heat said, hey, we want to bring you back. We're going to do player podcasts this year. We want you and Kyle Lowry to do one.
I can't do it. No, I have to say no. I can't do it. I lose all credibility, Evan. I have to have a little bit of integrity. I lose all credibility with my audience if I do that. I can't.
Well, what if the podcast was in the first one, you just said to Kyle Lowry, here's everything I've ever said about you. And you just said it all to his face.
Right.
How do you handle it?
Joy Taylor went through that after she left my show to go work with Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp. And then eventually it came out in like the sports media rags. Joy Taylor said this. It was all, I mean, for years we were ragging on guys like Skip Bayless. And Joy, she was very scared when he found out. Before she'd even went on the air with him, she had to have a sit down and a conversation with Skip Bayless. This is what was happening, this, that. And Skip was very understanding about the whole thing.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. You know more than I do because you know Joy well. I don't. I think I was on with you guys or talked to her once with you guys years and years ago. She seems amazing. I will tell you, everything I've heard about Skip Bayless is that he's actually wonderful off the air.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Like, I think that I've never, like, anybody that I know that knows Skip, that knows Stephen A, could not speak higher of them. And it's, to me, it's no surprise. Stephen A is the top of his game. He's amazing on the air. Unbelievable off the air. I know Dan Patrick, same thing. Like, the kindest, sweetest guy. I don't know Levitard. Like, in passing, I know, John, but I've never heard someone say a bad word about Dan Levitard ever off the air. Like,
he's the kindest person I know.
Right. So it's like, people can say what they want about Skip Bayless. He treats people well, from what I've gathered.
That's what I've heard.
There's a reason that he's at that level, because whatever, you can have whatever personality you want on the air, but if you're not nice off the air, that catches up to you.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Evan, you've said it all. I'm excited for you. Tuesday, September 5th, the day after Labor Day. What are you going to be able to sleep the night before? That's going to be a tough night of sleep. That'll be tough.
Well, I will be in Bristol in a hotel, so we'll see. We will see. I'll tell you, what if Dame gets traded Monday night? Oh, that would be amazing.
That'd be great, right?
The first story ever on that show has to be Dame to the Heat. Oh, okay, here's the question for you. I got to pack the clothes to go to the hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Do I bring my Udonis jersey just in case Dame gets traded there, because you want to wear the Udonis jersey on the air?
Yes, because you want to let everybody know. You want to let all the viewers know what you're about.
Yes, that's right.
First impression.
With me.
Yeah, first impression. You got to let everybody know, hey, this is what I'm about. So,
you know what my number one goal is for this show? To get all the Heat gear that everyone gets sent that I never get sent.
Why don't they send it to you? They still send me gear now. They're very nice. You don't get the gear?
No, put this clip out. Let the Heat know that now that I have this huge platform, all I want is the Heat gear. That's it. Once I get the Heat gear, I'll walk away. I'll quit. I'll be done. I just want the Vice gear before everybody else. That's
no one will ever see me again.
That's it. You only want a job like this on the biggest network, on the morning show, on TV and radio, just to get the Heat gear in advance. That's all I want.
Lastly here, real quick, what was the conversation like with Dog telling him that you're leaving?
Everybody
knows Christopher Mad Dog Russo every Wednesdays on First Take on ESPN, but is a hero of Evan's, and I mean, is just my all-time favorite. I love that guy.
So it was easy for both of us because we both knew kind of stuff was happening. It wasn't like difficult at all. And here's the ironic thing. I will now see him more than I did when I worked for him, because where I'm doing the show is where he does First Take.
That's cool.
And for the last 2 or 3 years during the pandemic, I never saw him.
Yeah.
Never saw him at all. I saw him like maybe twice in 3 years. Now I'll see him every Wednesday.
That's great. That's a nice little perk there, Evie.
Will he come on with us is the question.
Evan, give one final promotion here. Let everybody know everything, how they can see, how they can hear you guys.
Monday
it's really
through
all exciting.
Friday, starting September 5th, 6 to 10 Eastern Time, ESPN Radio. Michelle Smallman, Chris Canty, and I. You can watch it on ESPN2, listen to it, or watch it on ESPNU, listen to it on SiriusXM Channel 80, locally in South Florida on 106.3, ESPN West Palm, and of course all across the country. You can listen and watch.
Will you be nervous, or it's like, yeah, I've been doing this?
I'm anxious more than this has been 2 months of getting ready for this.
Yeah,
I've had enough getting ready for it.
Yeah, let's just.
And I still feel like I'm not ready, but because all we've been doing is getting ready, and it just, I don't know. I need this to start already.
Yeah, I hear you, man. Great job, Evan. Appreciate you, dude. I'm excited to see the show.
Heat here. Thanks, guys.